You've memorized the QA theory, right? But in a high-pressure interview, can you prove you actually know how to use it? That's exactly what we're going to break down. Okay, let's dive in. We're going to turn all that textbook knowledge into a real-world story of a project's journey. This is the narrative that's going to make you stand out.
I mean, this is it. This is the big question, isn't it? It's not just about finding a few bugs here and there. It's about having a strategy, a repeatable process to guarantee quality from the very first idea all the way to launch day. So how do you do that?
So let's frame this as a mission. We're going to follow the entire software testing lifecycle, step by step. By the time we're done here, you'll have a crystal clear story to tell about how a professional QA team guides a project safely to launch.
Every great build starts with a plan. You wouldn't build a house without one, right? In QA, this is our blueprint phase. It's where we map everything out and lay the foundation for all the testing to come. This is where we decide where to focus our fire.
Here's the deal. You will never have unlimited time. Ever. So the million-dollar question is, where do you focus your energy? The answer is risk-based testing. It's a super smart strategy that basically says, let's figure out what's most likely to break and what would cause the biggest disaster if it did, and then we attack those areas first and hardest.
Let's make this real. For an e-commerce website, if the payment gateway goes down, the company literally stops making money. That is a huge risk. Now, what if the About Us page has a small typo? It's not great, but it's low risk. RBT is what gives us the focus to pour our resources into the things that actually matter most to the business. Now, as we go on this mission, we have to document everything. We call these our test deliverables. And look, this isn't just about pointless paperwork. These documents are the official record, the proof of the work we're doing. And honestly, they're critical communication tools for the entire team. And here's kind of how that unfolds. Before a single test is run, we create the test plan. That's our strategic map. Then, while we're in the trenches, every single issue we find gets logged in a defect report. And finally, when it's all over, we wrap everything up with a bow in the test summary report. Okay, blueprints in hand. Now it's time to actually build the arena where the testing will happen. You can't just test in a vacuum. You need a specific, controlled environment to make sure your results actually mean something. Let's see how that gets done.
Think of this as our laboratory. The number one rule of a good test environment, it has to be a mirror image of the real world, what we call the production environment. Because if we test on some super fast server in the office, but our real customers are using 5-year-old phones with spotty data service, our results are totally worthless. The goal is always replication.
And to keep this whole process from turning into chaos, we have rules. Think of entry criteria as the green light. It asks, is the environment stable? Are the test cases written and approved? Yep. Okay, we can start. Then you have exit criteria, which is the finish line. It asks, are all the showstopper bugs fixed? Yes? Okay, we can officially say this phase of testing is done. It's all about adding structure.
All right, the plan is locked, the stage is set. Now it's time for the main event, actually putting the software through its paces, running it through a series of brutal challenges designed to find every single weakness before a real customer does. Let's see what that looks like.
First up, we test for the human element. You can have the most beautifully written code in the world, but if a normal person can't figure out how to use your app, it's a failure. Usability testing is all about that user experience. Is it simple? Is it intuitive? Or does it make you want to throw your phone against the wall? Here's a perfect, dead simple example. If a customer wants to give you their money, but they can't find the checkout button in 3 seconds, you have a massive usability disaster on your hands. This is the exact kind of make-or-break flaw this testing is designed to catch. So, we've tested to see if it's easy to use. Now let's test to see if it's strong. Performance testing is all about pushing the application to its limits. How does it hold up under stress? Is it fast? Is it stable? Or does it crash and burn when things get busy?
This makes it real. One user logging in? Yeah, that's probably fine. But what happens on Black Friday when 1,000 users try to log in at the exact same second? Does the system grind to a halt? Does it just completely fall over? Performance testing finds that breaking point in the lab so your customers don't find it in the real world.
Okay, this is the final exam. After all of our internal testing, we hand it over to the client or maybe a group of real users, and we ask them the big question. Does this do what you asked for? Does this actually solve your problem? This is the ultimate validation that we actually built the right thing. You just can't skip this step.
So we've run a ton of tests, but how do we know if we did a good job? We can't just go on a gut feeling. We need cold, hard data. We need to keep score. And that, my friends, is where test metrics come in, and they are an absolute game changer.
Think of metrics as the scoreboard for our entire testing effort. They turn what we do into numbers, which lets us track our progress, measure the quality of the product, and make decisions based on facts, not feelings. This is how we go from, I think it's ready, to, I know it's ready.
A really simple metric like test pass percentage can tell you so much in a single glance. When you see that 90% of your tests are passing, you start to feel pretty confident. But what if that number was 40%? You'd know instantly that you have a major problem. It's a vital health check.
And we can get way more detailed than that. We can measure things like defect density to find the buggiest, most troublesome parts of the code. Or we can track defect removal efficiency, which tells us how many bugs we found before release versus after to see how good our whole process really is. Every metric gives us a new way to see the project's quality.
The tests have been run, the data's been analyzed, and the product is finally looking solid. We are so close to the finish line, but the job's not quite done. A professional team doesn't just stop. They have a formal process to wrap things up and cross that line properly.
This is the final checklist. First, we confirm every single test is done and all the critical bugs are squashed. Second, we deliver that final summary report. Third, and this is so important, we document what went right and what went wrong so we can be smarter on the next project. And last, we archive everything for future reference. It's about finishing clean.
And this brings everything full circle. Why did we just walk through this whole journey? Because of this pro tip. Answering an interview question with a textbook definition is fine, but answering it by walking them through that e-commerce example we talked about, that's how you get the job. It proves you don't just know the words, you know the work.
So as you prepare, don't just memorize definitions. Build your own stories. Think about this project journey and be ready to talk about your role in it. And I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What's the one bug you are most proud of finding? Get that story ready. Thanks for joining this explainer.